Hello students, the previous session we had a glance about the world, its physical properties, everything. Now we are going to step into a little bit, eagle eye view into this world. When we talk about the world, we learned that there are 7 continents in the world, and among all the 7 continents, Asia is said to be the biggest continent. Do you remember that? Yeah. So, in that Asia, when the continent has been divided into various parts, we have a division which we call it as a country. Now, the world, it is divided into continents and oceans, and further these continents have been divided into various countries. For the division, we have as a different countries. And when we talk about the country, especially, we are going to learn more about our own country, and that is nothing but India. Right. So, when I would like to always introduce myself, I say that I am Sadhana. I am from Dindigul. Where does this Dindigul lie? It lies in a state which we call it as Tamil Nadu. And Tamil Nadu is a state which lies in the country India. And to be correct, I am an Indian. Now let us learn more about the physical properties of our country, India. And it is said to be the 7th largest country in the world. It's the 7th largest country in case of area. And when we talk about the population, India stands second. India stands second next to China, and based on population, India is the second populated country. And when we consider the area, it is the 7th largest country among all the nations in the world. Now, we have already learned that India is a part of Asia, which is said to be the biggest continent in the world. Let us see what makes India the beautiful country among all the other nations of the world. This is said to be the physical features of our country. Physical features in the sense how the land surface of the country is. When we talk about the physical features of the country, it is not the same right from the top to the bottom. So, when I look at the map, when I am facing the map, the top part is said to be the north, and bottom opposite to that is the south, and to my right is the east, and to my left is the west. The various landforms, it consists of the various landforms of a country. The Himalaya, the northern plains, the desert, the Deccan Plateau, the Ghats, the coastal plains, and the islands. All these features, physical features, make our country very beautiful one because it is of various landforms. Let us start with Himalaya. When we talk about the Himalaya, it is a Himalayan range. Why do we call it as a range? The reason why do we call it as a range is a chain of mountains is what we call it as a range. And Himalayan range, it starts from here and it extends to the Nepal and it extends to the eastern, northeastern side of our country. So it's a very long chain of mountains. That is why we call it as a Himalayan range. So this Himalayas, you could see this brown area, it's all completely Himalaya. Okay. And Himalayas, when we talk about the Himalayas has the world's highest mountain peak, Mount Everest. Right? Himalaya range, it extends from the north and it goes up to the northeastern side of India. And next, when we just come a little bit south to the Himalayas, we have the green color area. This is what we call it as a northern plains. This is what we call it as a northern plains. Why do we call it as a plain? Because this area is totally fed by rivers. All this Ganges river Ganga, which is said to be the longest river, and it is a perennial river. Perennial river in the sense it flows throughout the year. This river Ganga, it starts from Himalayas, it just flows through this plains, and it at last it comes and joins to the Bay of Bengal. Right. So this northern plains, it has been completely fed by the rivers like Ganga, Yamuna. And that's the reason it is totally fertile, and because of that, it is thickly populated. Among all the location of India, these plains are said to be thickly populated. Basic need for the people is food and water, which is available in this plain. That's the reason this northern plains is said to be very fertile plain, and it has been thickly populated in our country. This northern plains is otherwise called as a Gangetic plain. It is otherwise called as Gangetic plain because most of this area is fed by river Ganga. From this Gangetic plain, as we travel to the northwestern part of our country, we could see this area which is full of sand. This sandy area is what we call it as the desert. This is called as a desert. The state Rajasthan, it has this desert area, and the desert is called as Thar desert. It is called as Thar desert. The nature of the desert is the land is fully covered with sand, and that land it receives very less rainfall. As a result, it is very hot during the daytime, and the summer is very long, and it is very cold in night time because of the presence of sand. And the vegetation is very poor as the rainfall is also very less in the desert area. So the desert area is Thar desert. The name of the desert in India is Thar desert. Now gradually we are just traveling towards the south. We started from Himalayas, we came to the northern plains, then we saw desert, and gradually we are just moving towards the southern side of India. When we come to the southern side, this area is what we call it as a plateau area. This is what we call it as a plateau area. Plateau is nothing but the area which is little bit higher level, a flat top land, little bit higher than the plains. That area is what we call it as a plateau. Plateau in India, we just call it as a Deccan Plateau. Deccan Plateau is a name given to the plateau region in India, and it comes like almost it is in the triangle area in India. In India, this plateau area, this is what we call it as a plateau area, and this is named as Deccan Plateau. Right. And when we talk about the plateau area, it is almost rocky, and minerals are found in the plateau region. Comparing to other areas, the vegetation is less, it is a little bit hot also, and it is full of minerals. Minerals are abundant in the plateau area. Next, when we come to this tip of the India, this area is what we call it as a peninsula. This is what we call it as peninsula. Why do we call it as a peninsula? Peninsula is a type of land which has three sides covered by water. Three sides it is covered by water. What are the water bodies around India? What makes it a peninsula is, on the eastern side we have Bay of Bengal, on western side we have Arabian Sea, and in the southern side it is Indian Ocean. These three water bodies, it covers the southern tip of India, and that's the reason it takes the name as a peninsula land. Right? And when we talk about this peninsula, this area as it is covered by water, here is a plateau, here is a water body. In between these two areas, we have mountains which we call it as a Ghats. The mountains which lie between this plateau and between this coastal areas, that is what we call it as a Ghats. And the eastern side of the Deccan Plateau, it is called as Eastern Ghats, and the western side of the Deccan Plateau, it is the Western Ghats. Ghats is nothing but the mountains, but it is not so high as Himalaya. But we have a chain of mountains in this side and in this area also. This is called as Eastern Ghats. This is called as the Western Ghats. As I told you already, this complete area from this extent up to this, it is all coastal area, this is what we call as a coastal plains. Plains is nothing but the level area as well as it is fed by water, and why do we call it as a coastal plain is, it is all sea coast. Right. This side on the Bay of Bengal, we have Eastern Continental Shelf. This is called the Eastern Continental Shelf, and this is called as Western Continental Shelf. It extends from this area to this, and from here to this. These two are coastal plains in our country. This coastal plains further divided This eastern continental shelf, it consists of two divisions. One is Coromandel Coast and Northern Circus. Up to this we have Coromandel Coast and remaining part is what we call it as Northern Circus. This is Coromandel Coast and this is Northern Circus. Next, Western Continental Shelf. This is which lies in the Arabian Sea. It has been divided into two parts. One is Malabar Coast and another one is Konkan Coast. This area is what we call as Malabar Coast and this extension is called as the Konkan Coast. So these two are the divisions of the Western Continental Shelf. Coromandel Coast and Northern Circus are the division of the Western Continental Shelf. And at last we come to the last landform of India, which is the island. Island is nothing but it is surrounded by water. When we talk about islands, it is called the landform. It is called the landform surrounded by water. Surrounded means all the sides it is covered by water. That area is what we call it as island. And the beautiful islands which are present in India is in the Bay of Bengal. We have a group of islands which we call as Andaman and Nicobar Islands. It lies on the Bay of Bengal. And when we come to this western side in Arabian Sea, we have a group of islands which are called as Lakshadweep Islands. So these two islands make the India very beautiful. Now let us have a quick recap of the landforms of India. India, the physical features, or otherwise we call it as landform. From north, when we start from the north, it is the Himalaya ranges which stretches from the north to the northeastern side of the country. Next we come for the northern plains. Northern plains which has been fed by the river Yamuna and Ganga, and as it has been mostly fed by the river Ganga, it is otherwise called as a Gangetic plain. Next we come for the northwest side of the India, which is comprises of desert area, and that desert is called as a Thar desert. And to the center part of the India, as we travel towards the south, it is a Deccan Plateau. Deccan Plateau is almost like a triangular form of a land, and plateau is a little bit flat land, little bit higher than the plain area. And we have a lot of minerals found in the Deccan Plateau. And between this plateau and the water bodies, we have a stretch of mountains which we call it as a Ghat. And India has Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats on either side of the Deccan Plateau. And when we travel towards the sea, we have coastal plains. Coastal plains are the stretch of lands which starts from here to this part of India. And eastern side we call it as the Eastern Continental Shelf, which has two divisions, Coromandel Coast and Northern Circus. And this western coast side we have Western Continental Shelf, which has again two divisions. One is Malabar Coast and another one is the Konkan Coast. And at last we have islands which are a group of islands which is the area surrounded by water. In Bay of Bengal we have Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and in the western side in Arabian Sea we have Lakshadweep Islands. The proud points of India is India is said to be the second populous country in the world, and it is the 7th largest country based on the area. I hope we have seen about a glimpse of India and basically about the landforms of India. Hope this would be informative for you children. Let me meet you in the next session. Thank you.